So straight into the Super League news then. Biggest story this week. Paul Rowley leaving Saints. Two favourites to replace him. That's in the bookies' favourites' eyes is Ben Hornby and Matt King. Where do you see the Saints at the moment? Why do you think Paul Rowley stepped down? And what do you think of the two leading candidates that could potentially take over, Paul?
Well, it's a surprise to me was the timing of him stepping down, the eve of the derby. It's not a surprise to see him go. I think there was numerous issues at the club going back to Mark Percival's contract saga. Numerous senior players are disgruntled. The Salford sort of connection and bringing in a lot of Salford players that were not up to scratch, in my opinion, and are not up to scratch, in my opinion. So yeah, the news was not unexpected. It was just the timing of it which was unexpected for me. As far as the two candidates go, I think they're both wonderful coaches. I think the club will go to an NRL route. I know there's been Kurt Haggerty touted around there as well, which he said is flattering, obviously, which would be. The other news out the club, Eamon Carroll takes over. I think that's probably to write a report at the end of the year to give them a report. He's moving on to the Scarlets. Yes. So he'll be able to give them an honest appraisal of what's going on without worrying about his job because he's already got one and he's moving on, which probably tells you the state the club's in. Yeah. I think there's been serious recruitment issues at the club with regard to signings. There's so much noise comes out of the club, which is unusual for St Helens, and has obviously affected everybody in a negative way. So yeah, I think the club needs a full reset. I don't think they'll make the six, Dan. I think they'll miss out on the six. I don't see the games they've got left. I don't think they'll meet the.
It'll be the first time, won't it?
In the top six.
It'll be the first time they don't get there. In a sense of Paul Rowley, do you think it's 100% on results base and performance base, or do you think there could be some sort of player power within the club that's contributed to him moving on?
I think the latter. I think there's not player power. I don't think player power. I think everything that's gone on at the club, from speaking to people that have played at the club and people that have spent time at the club when it's been successful, it's night and day from when they were there. I think there's issues behind the scenes at the club that we probably don't know about, but obviously we won't ever get to hear about them either.
The two leading candidates, Ben Hornby and Matt King. Ben Hornby was close to getting the Dragons job. Obviously, Dean Young ended up getting it. And Matt King, obviously a Warrington Wolves legend, current New South Wales assistant and Sydney Roosters assistant. I can see the Matt King one coming off and working, especially with the link with Lee Breers, the Warrington Wolves link. Obviously, the Warrington Wolves fans won't like this bit. But if you could have them two maybe footing it with some sort of salary, maybe they can bring some players in and work with that group. Because if you've had the experience of working with the Sydney Roosters and working alongside Laurie Daly at New South Wales, surely you'd be able to do a satisfactory, if not a very good job with the Saints. Would you agree?
I think it's a matter of time for both of them candidates to get a top job, Dan.
Yeah, agreed.
When you look at Hornby and his resume and who he's worked with and Matt King particularly, as you say, his links to Super League, I think it's a matter of time before they end up with a job either over in Super League or in the NRL. So I think both will do a wonderful job. I think one thing I do think about St Helens is it needs somebody with an iron fist a little bit to get a grip of the group of players. Somebody that comes in and is really intense and gives it to the players that probably need it. So very much in the Brad Arthur ilk, if you like, of the Leeds Rhinos. So the next appointment's a big one for the club because with that appointment comes recruitment and it needs to be gotten right for them to not spend more than one season outside the playoffs.
We do. We'll wait and see how it unfolds. I think whoever gets the role, they've got a big job on their hands to sort out the squad at St Helens now.
Yeah.
The next piece of news is not a good one. Maika Sivo suspected broken arm, 6 to 8 weeks out. massive blow for Leeds, massive blow for breaking the try-scoring record. He's been phenomenal this year, hasn't he, Maika?
Yeah, anywhere within 10, 12 metres, 15, maybe 20 metres of the try line, then he's unstoppable.
He is, yeah.
I still think there's more to come from him, and that's what Brad Arthur and the players were saying at Leeds.
Yeah.
It's a huge blow, of course it is. But it's an injury that Leeds will deal with. I think they'll deal with it. They'll put somebody else on the wing, whether that's young Edgill and Handley will go back into that team. Don't forget they were missing a couple of players last weekend.
Yeah,
Hankinson, another one, so he can slot onto the wing as well. He's been great in the back row, but he can easily slot in onto the wing. So they've got some options there. They'll be able to deal with it. But of course, it's a blow. Just when you think the try scoring charts are going to be obliterated and knocked out the ballpark, an injury happens like that. So it's another one of those that we should never assume. We should always just let things unfold because a week's a long time in the game.
Yeah, it is devastating for Maika Sivo, and obviously a big miss for the Leeds Rhinos. Another injury piece of news: Ollie Ashell-Bott, hamstring injury for Toulouse. He's been the catalyst for Toulouse this year.
You know, there's an injury to a team and a club that you would think is more difficult to paper over.
Yes,
for the number of weeks that he misses. Let's hope it's not a high grade one where he misses a number of weeks or months. But he's been brilliant the last few weeks.
You're normally looking at a minimum of 3-4 weeks, aren't you, for it to fully heal a hamstring?
Even a grade one, a couple of weeks, yeah. So a low grade one, a couple of weeks. He's still missing at least a game or two. So it's a big blow to the Toulouse team. He's certainly one of the players that is probably irreplaceable with the squad depth that they have. I know they're going to improve the squad depth. There's a couple of players that are coming in next year, but that's not going to help them in 2026. So
no,
I don't think they can make playoffs anyway. And with all due respect, I think the last playoff spot is between Hull KR, Warrington and St Helens, and I think Saints will miss out. It's where the rest of the top six now finish.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a strange one with that because there's never good timing to get a hamstring injury or any injury to that fact. But the fact that he's got his injury just as you're doing the run-in for the end of the season, and also Jack Welsby looks like he's getting a bit of form back as well. He would have been pushing for that England spot. And like you said, if they're not going to be in the playoffs, it's 5 or 6 games left of the season or 7 games left of the season. You would want to play all them at your best of your ability to put yourself in the shop window. And I just think it's unfortunate for him, bad timing. Next piece of news, we touched on it last week as well. Jimin Joloffe confirmed with the Huddersfield Giants. It was reported last week that there was a 3-year deal offered to him. And over the course of the last week, he's confirmed to be signing for the Giants. So it's a big coup for the Giants.
Yeah, big being the operative word. He's a big boy, isn't he? He'll add something. And at an age, Dan, where he's not someone coming over that you would think he's coming over for a payday and at the end of a career. So
no,
he's a big boy. He's going to add some strength and some steel to their pack. He'll add some go forward and punch. Defensively, hits hard. And at an age where you can build around him for the next 2 or 3 years on contract and try and get him to work with some of the younger front rows coming through the system there. So, big signing for the club. And Huddersfield are on the up a little bit after last weekend's result as well, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, they definitely are. It's the reaction I got from because I'm part of all individual NRL team groups on social media. And the pushback from Gold Coast Titans was they don't want him to leave. So normally even though he's had a bad injury this season, normally when your fan base over there are not pushing you out the door, that means he's still got a lot to offer. So I think the Huddersfield Giants and Jim Lennon's got a good player on the hands. It's just you've got to hope that he comes back from this ACL injury, fighting fit. The next bit is the York Knights are still yet to announce the new owners. Over the past week, Clint Goodchild officially stepped down and left as chairman and director. David Dixon
left as director, Dan. It's interesting that he's left as the director but remains as chairman for now. I'm not sure for how long that'll be. I spent some time in York last weekend. I went to see Jesse D in the hospital as a friend of mine. Obviously got an injury at the moment, the York Knights player, and the noise is coming out of that Clint will step down and not have anything. But I don't think he's got anything to do with day-to-day running of the club anymore, from what I'm told. It's a really interesting saga because something's clearly gone on behind the scenes and something untoward's gone on behind the scenes. So
is it just kind of his name staying above the door then until this all gets finalised?
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't think he can do any business at the club anymore. That's been taken away from him in terms of resigning as the director. And I do think the shares that he has hold of right now will be eventually transferred. I think that's probably what takes longer with the legalities of it. So
because
from what I'm told, as I said, it's only what I'm told. So
because there's a local businessman that's there that's already invested in the York. David Dixon. He's already invested in the ladies team, York Valkyrie. Yeah. He's the one that's rumoured to be taking over, and I
think that's had an adverse effect on the York Knights and the players because they're just not sure what's been happening at the club, and there's been meetings that have been scheduled where there've been gate crashed and whatever else, and people just don't know what's been going on at the club. So it'll be really interesting.
Last bit of Super League news: Mason Teague has signed for Wakefield Trinity on a 2-year deal. He comes in straight replacement for Tyson Smoothie. He's played eight appearances for the Dolphins. He signed for the Brisbane Broncos at the start of this season, ironically replacing Tyson Smoothie. He's now doing it once again. He's confirmed at the Wakefield Trinity. It's good for him to get a replacement and announce it early so they know where they stand for next season, don't they, Paul?
Yeah, it's good from Steve Mills and Darryl and Matt Ellis and co at Wakefield. I think the announcement of Tyson leaving was quickly followed by the announcement of an incoming. So it just seems like they've got a definitive plan. It's a club very much on the up. And he'll certainly go a long way to fill in the boots of Tyson Smoothie. And he's got big boots to fill. There's no question about that. Tyson's a phenomenal player and has been a real revelation for Super League. And there's no doubt that Wakefield can go out on the back of winning silverware, or at least been involved in a grand final with the form that they're in, and Tyson Smoothie at the heart of it. So big boots to fill. We'll see how he goes next year. Still a very young player, I think, at 23 years of age, isn't he? So
yeah, he is. He's very young.
Yeah, he's got his best years ahead of him. And it's interesting, Steve Mills' comments on we needed someone to complement Smith in the other. The bench hooker position and someone who can come on and defend really well like Tyson Smoothie has, along with giving good service and being an integral part of the starting run-on lineup. Yeah,
I agree. And you touched on it there. Matt Ellis has been massive. He's been a revelation, hasn't he, for Wakefield. He's doing a very good job there. That wraps it up for the Super League news this week. Let's get straight into the Super League Round 20 results and analysis.